let's dive in because I want to know about this movie because I haven't read the book. I don't know. I to be honest, I don't think I've even watched a real trailer for it yet. So that's on me because I think I've had like three opportunities, even just in our chat, to go out and look for the trailer, and I haven't. So I told Jen earlier that you guys can just go ahead and spoil the living hell out of it because I'm not going to see it until it streams, and I will completely forget whatever I'm talking about. So, or whatever you guys talk about. So, I say go to town.
All right. So I don't know who wants to go first.
I like when you go first.
All right, then I will. All right. So I think I'll start by saying that the Hunger Games as a whole, I first saw the first two in the theater, the last two just like at home. And I remember the first one going, wow, this is cool. The second one going, holy shit, this is amazing. And then when I found out the third book was being made into two movies, it's kind of a turnoff. So I didn't bother seeing a third movie. And then I finally saw it at home and I was like, it was cool. And then the fourth movie came out and it was like, okay, this is actually better than like I expected. But I just felt like the momentum was killed by the third movie. Anyway, I then see the trailer for this film, and it actually it gave me like Catching Fire, which is the second movie, vibes. It felt heavy. It felt like, oh, this is about to be some raw, serious stuff. And I knew there was going to be some YA like kind of romance stuff, but let me tell you, after 2.5 hours of film that I saw today, it was actually heavier, and in my opinion, and darker than I expected. And I was happy with that. I forget her name, but the person who plays Snow White, whatever, like who
Rachel
plays
Ziegler.
Gray,
Yeah.
yo, killed it. To me, she was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that Viola Davis was positively witchy and evil and convincing. And I think that the main dude just basically played the main dude. Like he was cool. He was serviceable. At times, he reminded me of like an Eminem type person, like with a gun in the forest. I'm being totally random, but no, I think that if you liked Catching Fire, you'll like this. And then last but not least, I'm being totally random. There's one character who plays Snow, who's the main dude, Snow's friend. I was thinking maybe is that Philip Seymour Hoffman's character? Like, but then I found out, yeah, no, that's definitely not him. But anyway, point is, I liked it and I was satisfied. And while the end felt a little too like, really, like that's all it took to make you like turn into snow, at the same time, I guess like when love is love, and when you feel like some stuff went wrong, like you can just go all the way evil and be Anakin. So this was an Anakin film. All right, that's my opening take.
I have a question before Jen jumps in. Who did Jason Schwartzman play?
He played thank you for saying that, by the way, because I was trying to figure out who that was because he reminded me of another actor. He played basically the host of the Hunger Games, the 10th Hunger
So
Games.
that's a trip because he was in Quiz Lady, which I talked about last week, I think, which is on Hulu. It's with Sandra Oh and Aquafina. But I was watching that. He's one of the characters in the movie, and he was on, and I was like, dude, he looks exactly like a young Stanley Tucci.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I said. I was like,
Yeah.
I just so
Exactly.
believed it. Like when I saw him, I like telling Sam like that, like
Yeah.
it was so believable. But then it was funny because when I went back and like looked at them, like, I don't know, I wasn't seeing as much when I looked at it side by side, but damn, I really believed it. Like it was perfect casting, I thought,
Yes.
putting him in.
Now
Yeah.
continue. I'm done. That's like literally all I have.
Flickerman, that's what it was. Caesar Flickerman was the later one, and I can't remember what Flickerman were. See, and the thing is we don't know like what was the relationship, like nothing's fully like spelled out in like any of the like relationships, like, or the heritage, I guess I should say. So maybe we'll find out later, on the next movie. But anyways, am I supposed to talk now?
Yes.
Um, Yeah, I loved it. Like, I was just so curious to see what other people said because I was so like in it like the whole time. Like a lot of times, my mind will wander, even if it's a good movie. But man, I just felt so invested in it like the whole time. And like what you said about like that's all it took for him, to become Snow. Like, I definitely get that. But like after I like talked to Cindy about it more, like she's like, no, like it was like there were so many glimpses of him like the whole time. And like after I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I think you're right. Like there were like moments where you could see like this like evil in him, even though it wasn't like fully coming out. It was just like a slow brew. And then he just lost it like at that point. Um, because I don't feel like he was innocent the whole time. Like, I think that you could believe that, there was some bad to him, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that for me, it was more of like a pragmatism versus like straight up evil. I gotta
Yeah.
say, Hunter Schafer, by the way, I think did a good job too as well. Just as far as I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Like
Oh,
his
yes.
cousin. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's from Euphoria, you know.
Yes.
But like Hunter, like I don't know. It just felt right. So just props to Hunter too. But going
Yes.
back to him, like I don't know, like I again, you know me, like when I watch a character, I ask myself, who would I be when I make the same decisions or whatever? And like even like I know that like her whole thing was like she lost trust in him, and I need to like figure out some key things that like made her lose trust. So then she's kind of like, peaced out and made him go, after all I did for you, I'm evil now. But like, I don't know. I just at the message I got from the film, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad message, is that you know the whole world is a Hunger Games. It's not just happening in the arena. And he was playing the game, and he was the victor, and he was like, you know what, like this is what it is. Now, what I do want to do, however, right, because you guys hear me expressing some kind of sympathy for dude, because I think that he really was trying to like
For sure.
he loved her, man. But
Yeah.
like, but I do know, like, sometimes I remember more how I feel versus what I absorbed. And the thing I remember about Donald Sutherland as Snow was hating him. Like, I hated him in the first movie and the second movie. And then by the fourth movie, when he finally gets to come up, and you're just kind of like, ugh, like this should have happened sooner, you know? So now I need to go watch the first movie again and compare and contrast young Snow with old
Mhm.
Snow.
Yeah.
But before you jump back in, like, can you throw me some examples of like the flashes of evil? Because to me, it was more like just he just had to get gangster because it was like do or die. Like homeboys coming at him with a machete,
I
Hey,
don't know. I feel like it was just like a look in his eye or like a face or I don't know. It wasn't just like he wasn't just so outwardly villainous, but I just felt like you could see in his eyes that he could do bad. And it's probably only because we know that eventually he ends up bad.
and he is his dad's kid, to be fair. And apparently his dad, like his cousin was like, yeah, like you said, like that you look like your dad. Like that was it. Like that was like, okay, well, your transformation is complete. And then
Yeah.
even how he did Dinklage, like that was like that's the Snowy now.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. I just really loved the feeling of like falling in love with him, like having compassion for him, and then just knowing like we're gonna hate him later on. I just thought that was so cool. Like, I don't know, it was just such a weird thing.
Now,
Uh
did you think the new movie was long? Because I will say,
yes.
like, yes. Like I was just like like there was three parts, Kev, right? Part one, part two, part three. The movie could have ended at part two,
Yes.
and then you could have done a part three and then like expanded upon it. And maybe that's what I would have liked, right? So I just got done saying that don't expand like a book into like two movies, right? But in this case, I feel like it could have worked because I needed to know a bit more like Lucy Yo. Like this dude really did like he threw away his world for your ass. And now you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna like go to the woods and then like peace out on you because I don't trust you because you killed more people than you said you did or some shit. Like, I don't know. I that wasn't satisfying to me. I feel like everything up until part 3 was very well told and satisfying. And then part 3 just felt a little rushed. But again, that's just me. But the
No,
thing
that's
is, if
exactly
the
how I
movie had been,
felt.
yeah, and if the movie had been any longer, we all would have revolted because it was it was 2 hours and 38 minutes, man.
Yeah.
It was long.
No, I agree. That's exactly what I said, like in my little notes, when I typed it all up, was that I felt like it was a little bit odd at the end because it was like the games happened and then you're thinking like, okay, it's done. But then it was like a whole other like
Thing.
huge point, and it just like took such a huge turn. And
Yeah.
it was like, okay, so it just seemed a little disjointed to me. And I
Mhm.
really would have liked, I felt like their relationship was just like so rushed. Like I actually wanted to see them like
Yes.
together more. Like
Yes.
they had such incredible like
Chemistry.
chemistry. Like I would have loved to see that. Like my mind was going crazy because I haven't read the books and I had
Yeah.
no idea what is going to happen.
Same.
But like I was like when he pulled out the root and he was like Katniss, I was like, is she their daughter? Like all this weird, and then after I
Yes.
thought about it, I'm like, no, that's impossible. But like my mind just kept going crazy thinking like of all these different scenarios. Like, wait a minute, is this, she this person's daughter? Is this, but anyways, I now know after I thought about it that none of those are possibilities.
But there's still cool Easter eggs, like to have
Yeah.
cat. I want to know what the connection is, and you
Yes,
also
there's got to be
there's
something.
got to
I
be
know they brought that up.
for
Basically,
sure.
they pulled this root or flower out of the ground, and it's called Katniss. So and it was when they were kind of like together in the forest. And so that I was like, wait a minute, like, are they gonna like do it? And like, somehow down the road, like she's related to them, but I don't know. Who knows? I guess we don't really know. I
Now,
guess
two.
if you've read the book, but I haven't. So
Yeah, and I haven't read the book. Two things I also wanted to say really quick though is number one, you can again, I now want to go back. Snow in Katniss, the fact that Katniss on some level must have reminded him of Lucy, just having that kind of charisma to win over the crowd. So there must have been some weird, twisted admiration that Snow had for Katniss because of his first love, which was Lucy. That's number one. And then number two, I remember, as I wasn't alone, right? So I went and saw the movie with, a new friend. And I was holding back because there's a scene where Lucy's playing guitar and she's singing, knowing that she's about to be like, in the arena and she might die, but she's singing, man. And the way she's singing, and you can see that she's trembling and she's like scared for her life. I was like, am I like, I'm feeling misty eyed. And the best part about it is everybody in the movie was like crying too. And I was just like, damn, right? So I'm just saying, I love movies or TV shows or whatever where you can actually get the audience to care about the character. And I pretty much fell in love with Lucy from the jump. Like she hit it out of the park. I think that she was the heart and soul of the movie. And again, I'm about to get filleted for Blue Beetle, Kevin, because I know you saw it and you said it sucked. So I'm like, between that and Black Adam, I'm kind of like being careful about my praise for movies. But I do think that this film ought to. I want to see how it's received across the board. Whether it's Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. But I was satisfied, and my my co-pilot, she liked it too. So that's that.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
I was looking it up, and it's a standalone book, so there's no sequel or anything like that. I'm trying to look it up on IMDb really quick, or sorry, on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it totally varies. 61% by the critics, but 91% from the audience. So
91, baby. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
We went with 4 people and we all loved it. And
which
I
is
agree,
funny because Blue Beetle is 90% from the audience, and I thought that those 90% of the people were idiots. But no, I mean this did really well. Got a lot of reviews, and financially it's not doing very well, and it's unfortunate because it's being financially compared to the original Hunger Games movies, which were a bit of a phenomenon. I don't remember there being as much of a buzz around this book.
No, it came
And
out in
so
2020, so that's
yeah,
why there's
yeah,
been things going on.
yeah. So it
What came out in 2020?
Yeah,
the book did, yeah, yeah. The book's a few years old now. Um, and so the timing of it is funky. It's coming right after the actors strike, right after all the strikes. They couldn't do their press tours, they couldn't do all that stuff. It's the same complaints we can make about Miss Marvel and their advertising, right? And it's seeing kind of similar numbers in that regard too. Like it's just not quite blowing up the way that you would hope it would. But I don't think that makes it a bad movie. I think we're in this weird transition time right now, where money doesn't determine isn't a good indicator of the
barometer.
quality of the film, which is
This in no
unfortunate
way
because
is
they
a
need the
bad
money.
movie at
Yeah.
all. It is not a bad movie.
So yeah, I definitely want to see it. Is it
I will fight for it. It's
so
good.
it's long. Would you say it's pretty action packed or no? Like compared to the first ones?
Really, I would say, I mean, I was there. I think it just has the right amount, because there's definitely like, it's the Hunger Games, man. Like, I think what made the last two Hunger Games kind of not as good as the first two is because you got that action in the arena where you're actually seeing the tributes kill each other, right? Which is terrible. Like, it sounds like I was enjoying it, which is the whole point of not anyway. But whereas the last two, it's just more of a straight ahead like rebellion, right? So that's
Yeah.
kind of like not as novel as like just seeing these kids like turn into psychos. So we got more of that, and I thought that was cool, and then seeing, just yeah, how shit goes down. So I do, but is it on the level of the first two in terms of action? No. But I still think it wasn't like boring. It was just like, but there was a few times where there was some edge of your seat, or like grasping someone's hand like a little tighter because you're like, So yeah, no, I think there was some action. There was some decent action. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like the right amount. It was like the games were a huge part of it, but like the actual game scenes weren't like the major part of or like an enormous part of the movie. It did a lot of like explaining like how the games got to the point that were like the games in this movie are nothing like the
No,
games.
they're
They are definitely like 60 years
70,
before.
yeah.
They're not out in this dome or whatever
Computer
they had
generated,
made.
yep.
Yeah, it's in like an arena and it's nowhere near like, I mean, oh, that's the part I loved. The drones that delivered
Water.
they were just coming up with concepts.
Yes.
Like basically what it was, just to go backwards, is they were having like failing viewership. And so Viola Davis or Dr. whatever her name was, saw something in Snow, and like was wanting ideas from him. And so he was giving her ideas on how to, up the game's, level. And so that's when they started implementing like getting the sponsors and all that and sending the drones in. But the drones were a disaster. Like they were like killing people because they were not fine-tuned yet. So I was laughing because we were watching the first one today and the little like ding, ding, ding coming in like is nothing like these drones. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it was just really cool to see like what they were doing to set them up and get them better and all that, and to see what they eventually became.
Yeah, and honestly, Snow was the architect. Like he was like he figured out how to make the Hunger Games like a spectacle, and and figured out how like, because basically I think the key insight was people will be more inclined to watch if they actually feel invested in each of the tributes, because before this movie you didn't really know the tributes. All it was, hey, we beat all the districts. This is a reminder to you mother effers that you guys went against us and now we beat you, so you have to send your kids to slaughter each other in this arena. But now we're gonna know who these kids are, have your favorites. It's like American Idol for like violence, basically. And it was his idea to do that and to boost the ratings. Brilliant.
And then it wasn't all like glamorous. They weren't all glammed up. They didn't have their
We're in a
glam squad.
zoo, you know.
They didn't have all of that then. So yeah, it was just cool to see, you know, just the evolution of it.
So the consensus is we hated it totally. We don't think you should see it. If you agree with us and hated it too, like leave a comment or whatever, let us know. But
I mean, if people don't like it, I would like to know what they don't like about it. Yeah. Because the only thing I didn't like was that part where like you felt like it was ending and then it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't. And I was part of me was like, they could have ended here because it was a nice ending. Like how it
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
But
totally.
no. It was just weirdness.
Yeah.
Psycho Eminem. Sorry.
He did. I can't unsee it now that you said that. He did a little bit. Yeah, I thought he looked good with his buzz cut.
Yeah, no, he and his dog tags and like he just look, but he's like, yo, like you got your gun, like you're shooting shit, like I don't know, like after all I did for you, like dude, like so it's a transactional now, like stop it, like if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, then it's yours. But if it fucking leaves and it leaves, then get over it. But maybe that's what made him evil. And besides, at the end, he even says, and it's Anakin, dude, because Anakin's love for Padme is what made him turn into Vader. So, yeah, it's a tale as old as time. It's a cautionary tale.
I don't ever want you associating with little girls.
Why not, Mama?
Because little girls are the devil.
It's a morality tale, and you know the fact that I want to watch the Hunger Games again means it did its job, in my opinion.
Yeah. Totally. Sydney did not like the original ones. Now she's like going back and like has like a new sparked interest in them. I'm like, yeah, see?
For a whole new generation. Brilliant. Boom.
Because she's seen them. She didn't like them. But now she's like, oh, wait, now I do want to go back and see it. So, or, you know, piece some things together in her mind. So,
word up.
All right. So, going on to really quick, a movie that technically, according to Rotten Tomatoes, was better was Blue Beetle, dropped on HBO Max yesterday. It took me and my kids 2 nights to watch it. One of my kids was so bored the first night we watched it that he wanted to just like take a break and go to bed. He chose bed over finishing the movie. And dude, I agree. I think you saw it in the theater, and so there's a difference. And I've said this before. If you're watching something at home, there's too many opportunities for distraction. So if it's not engaging and you're watching it at home, you get distracted. It doesn't land the same way. So it's very possible that seeing this in the theater made it better. And I feel dirty saying this, but I totally agree with Andy. It just wasn't very good. Like it was like really inconsistent. Like and my kids said the same thing. Like they felt the same way. It was boring. It took forever to get going. It was super slow in that. The action didn't make much sense. The whole time, like this kid's family is like, you have this power, you got to be careful, you can't kill anybody. And then his whole family goes out and kills a bunch of people. Like he's somehow his grandma was like some kind of like the whole family is somehow like amazing. Yeah. They can all do crazy shit. Grandma's walking around with a fucking super powered Gatling gun, just wasting people left and right. Yeah. George Lopez, who somehow knows how to operate all this equipment that he's never seen in his life, at one point is totally gleeful when he takes this beetle thing and steps on a dude and like literally pierces his body and keeps walking as he's stuck to the foot. But don't worry, Blue Beetle can't kill anybody. Like, there's so many inconsistencies with it. It's just, it was not good. And like, and when it finally picked up, it felt like an Iron Man ripoff. At the end, he's fighting the bad guy, and I'm like, that's Iron Man versus Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man. Like, it was like, I wanted to like it so bad, and maybe that's part of my problem is I went in with higher expectations
You
because
should have lowered them.
yeah, because I heard for so long that it was like one of their best ones, and dude, I kind of agree with Andy. I actually think that Black Adam is better than Blue Beetle, because at least the pacing in Black Adam worked. Like the biggest problem with Black Adam is that The Rock was The Rock, and The Rock is always The Rock, and it doesn't really fit. And there are problems with the story of Black Adam. It didn't make sense without Shazam and all that. But at least it moved. Like the Blue Beetle is boring for
So to keep that picture thought.
I was gonna say it's only 2 hours and 7 minutes. It's not that long,
No.
and it felt like, I mean, it took us 2 nights, and it felt like both of those nights were long.
So basically, my thing about Blue Beetle is this: like, I just saw it mostly as a celebration of like Chicano culture. Like that's what it was. And
It
so
is 100% that, and
it is. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, when you, I don't know if you
like
I
a
assume you
third of the
read
movie
both.
is in subtitles.
Yes, yes, and then like I don't know if you even got to the credits, but if you do, everybody in the credits has a Latin sounding name, so they really went to town on that. So I kind of went in going like, hey, if I don't get something, maybe it's just not for me. So that was kind of like the lens I went through it as. I think you're right. I think that when you are in the theater, in a way, you're almost like, I paid money for this, so I better fucking like it or whatever. I was also looking at the movie from an underdog standpoint, and then just keeping it real, keeping it 100, and even Andy said it, like the girl, like the main girl, is effing gorgeous. So like
I didn't think she was pretty as everybody thought she was either. Like she's pretty. I mean, she's in Hollywood, whatever. Like, but like, I was never like, I was never drawn to her the way that like it seemed like everybody else was.
All right.
She's pretty for sure, but number one, she seems like she's like 19, so that doesn't really do it for me. She just looks like a kid, and like she was just kind of there. I didn't like her character didn't impress me very much. And so I was just like, okay.
Okay, so so basically, again, I am Mr. I refuse to defend the indefensible, right? I know when to like say when. So I am not going to defend this movie. I'm just curious though, because I know you said like I wasn't the only one who called it like an Iron Man meets something else. Like, so like what about your other, like who else in your circle gave like, Blue Beetle a decent pass? Because I know it couldn't just be me.
To be honest, I don't remember anymore. Like, I feel like more of it was what I just kind of saw like online, and the buzz was solid. Like,
it's 90% Rotten Tomatoes, right? So
yeah, like it scored high, and I just like I watched it, and my kids. Now, my kids are a great barometer because they're old enough to understand this stuff now, and get stuff. And like all the time watching it, they're like, "What is this movie?" They're like, "What is what story are they trying to tell?" Because it kept changing. Like the ideas behind it, the themes behind it were changing. Like I said, this whole thing about how, oh, you're a hero, you can't be violent, you can't kill people, and then they go out and they just fucking kill everybody.
Yeah,
like,
I think there, for me, what the movie was about ultimately was Susan Sarandon was like, I think, she was running the company that the girl was the heir to, right?
yeah.
So
Yep.
it was, and the whole, I think Chicano culture is all about like the imperialists and like the people, like the working, poor people.
Yeah. You think about
right?
like Che Guevara and all that, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very class warfare type. And her, the daughter, was like, yes, I come from the rich people, but I'm on your side, basically. So she was the bridge, her and Blue Beetle homie were like the bridge to that shit. And then Susan Sarandon was like, she was the villain. And even Obadiah Stane, we'll call him Obadiah Stane, like he was a villain, but he was being puppeteered. So once he realized he was a puppet, then he turned on, on the puppeteer and took care of her. And then it was all about, okay, now we've all come together. We're gonna bring this class warfare to an end and start a new life. And oh, and by the way, my dad, who was original Blue Beetle, like he's still alive, you know? So I felt like that was my takeaway. But and we'll see if Peter Gunn, I keep calling him Peter Gunn.
James Gunn.
We'll see if James Gunn does anything with it. So.
He's gonna bring back the Blue Beetle. Like it's already like he's already said that like this is the first character that we've seen that's gonna be in his DC universe. I think it'll be a little different. I don't think he'll pick up the story. I think he's even said he's not picking up from this movie necessarily. So I don't know that we're going to see Ted Kord, and we're not going to see that storyline and stuff. But with regards to like Susan Sarandon, she's a good actress, and that character was not developed at all. Like the character actually wasn't interesting.
No, that was a paycheck. Like I will not. Yeah, that was totally a paycheck.
And like, I don't know. There's just, and even like for the dude, the OMAC, and that's another thing. Like they completely wasted this great story of OMAC because I've read a shit ton of DC comics and I have them in my basement right now. And they just kind of threw it away. It's just like it's your basic bad guy and it's done. OMAC is a big fucking deal. And they just kind of, threw it out there and beat it, and now it's done, right? Like they completely destroyed it. And it didn't quite, nothing quite worked. And to make the other guy sympathetic, they're like, oh shit, we need to make him sympathetic. Let's throw in a quick 3-minute flashback so you feel bad for him. And it just goes by so fast that it doesn't really.
I was okay. It worked on me. Like again, like it worked on me. But again, I'm not like people. Everyone that I know, actually, no one I know except for Chad. I think Chad thought it was okay, but everyone else, my boy VJ, like y'all hated it. So there's nothing. There's why even defend it? Like there's no point. Like anything DC or DCEU at this point is undefensible. Don't do it. So we can. But my feelings a little hurt because I was like,
I would still love, like, if anybody's watching this and they go watch Blue Beetle or they've already seen it,
Leah,
by all means, tell me why it's good, because like I see potential. Like I see things about it that were good. Like
it wasn't bad. I would say I won't even say it's good. I'll just say it wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't fucking like keep saying Thor. It wasn't Aquaman. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't.
It was better than Aquaman. It wasn't as good as Black Adam, which I'm
okay with because I praised the shit out of Black Adam, and then y'all would never let me forget it. You wouldn't let me. I couldn't live it down. But I'm okay with that, Kev. I am. So I'm with that. And Black Adam actually made money. I mean, made more money than Blue Beetle did.
That's because it was The Rock, man. Ask The Rock.
A terrible movie.
Ask The Rock. It made all that money because it was The Rock.
Yes. Because the hierarchy of the DCEU was going to be changed.
It did after that. They fucking.
Oh, it's so good, but like not in the way they wanted it to.
So, okay. So that is.
Thank you for tolerating that, Jen. I know you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But yeah.
So I've got like 2 more things to talk about, but like, have you guys watched anything else? I know you had a busy week, Andrew. Did you get to anything else?
Okay, I started Monarch, and actually,
you did. Okay,
long, dude. Like it started. Like I literally, I only got to the point where like we find out that Daddy had a double life. But that to me was still pretty good, and all the action and Matt Shackman executive produced and directed it. He's the guy behind WandaVision, so he's a name I'm paying attention to now. Like it looks good. Apple TV. I know I've like bagged on it in the past. Apple TV's on the come up, man. I'm sorry. And maybe it's like it was always there, but it's like now it's doing shows that are more up my alley. Like,
well, have you watched Severance?
No. But I've heard about it.
Put that on your list immediately. Like that show is incredible. That was probably the best show that Apple TV has put out. It's really smart. But there's a lot of great stuff on Apple TV. There really is. Like I actually think you would probably like For All Mankind also. It's sort of
isn't that like an anthology, a space thing, or
it's not an anthology. It's just a story told over a long period of time, but it's basically it starts with the moon mission.
Yeah.
and then splits off into basically alternate reality. Like, what if this happened instead? And it's us against the Russians, and then it ends up on Mars, and it's really good. It's really well made. But Monarch, I've watched both episodes.
And
it's great. I mean, it is people oriented, right? Like we're used to Godzilla, where if you watched, especially the second Godzilla movie, you're like, this is just about the monsters, the people.
Which was my favorite one. Sorry,
which is fine, is fine because that's what it is, right?
Yeah. No, but the thing is, I'm sorry, I just got excited. No, but the thing is, like, I want both. I want monsters and I want the people. But the thing is, except like the people have kind of sucked. Like, okay, well, actually, yes. Like in the 2014 one, they kind of developed people, but it was bait and switch because you have Bryan Cranston all over fucking trailers and you kill him off in the first 10 minutes. Bullshit. That is false advertising. You should be sued. Okay. Then every other movie, the humans are kind of cringe and they suck. You know, like, but the second Godzilla is my favorite. Now, this one, I feel like we finally have a good balance of people I give a shit about, and you've got like movie level effects. So I'm super excited. And the fact that you liked it, I'm in, I'm down, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, these first two episodes, I don't know how it's going to go continually, but these first two episodes are very much about the people. It's about the Monarch organization, how it came to be, and all that. So we do see some monsterness, you know, and all that, but it's really about the people.
Good.
And this specific subset of people. It's not even super broad. Like we're going to see, see the, you know, these specific actors and stuff. And I think it's really well made, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from there. So I'm glad you saw it. Keep watching it. I think it's super good. And then when you have free time, which is always, dive into that Apple TV roster, because there's, especially on the sci-fi side, there's some really great stuff in there. Because Foundation is Apple TV, right? That's
yes, and I got to come back to that. I got to get to Invincible. I got to finish Gen V. Yes, I know I got to watch The Bear. There's a lot to watch. But it's been tough.
Yeah. So obviously quit your job and get caught up. He still hasn't watched The Bear.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's one of the best shows on TV television last year. Period.
And there's two seasons already.
Yeah,
it's catch up on.
It is kind of nice to like save them up.
Yeah,
just like binge. I like doing that too.
Yeah. That show's fantastic, and that one's not on Apple TV, so at least you get a pass there. But no, seriously, like Severance and For All Mankind, I think you'll actually really dig both of those. Severance, I know you will. Severance is absolute genius.
I keep hearing about Silo.
Silo was okay.
Okay.
I need to finish it. I kind of fell off on that one, but it was at least an interesting concept. It was almost maybe too conceptual, or took a little while to get where it was going. I need to go back and finish it and see what I really think about it. But like effects wise and all that stuff, and the acting is great. It's just, I think it's trying to get somewhere, and it's taking a while to get there.
I get that.
But I liked what I saw. It was just not as good as some of the other stuff that they've done. But yeah, I definitely, if you're paying for Apple TV, or if you've got it for free or whatever, dive in and get your stuff. And if you're out there watching, you don't have Apple TV, and you're due for some Apple device, whether it's headphones, phone upgrade, or whatever, a lot of times when you buy something new from Apple, you'll get 3 months of Apple TV for free. If that opportunity comes your way, definitely take advantage of it and go to town. There's so much stuff on there.
All Pop No Culture brought to you by Apple.
I know. I was like, are you like, getting some sort of kickback here? Or?
If they would like to pay me, I will gladly take Apple's money. But at the moment, they are not paying me, which is very unfortunate, considering my whole range of products is Apple. But whatever. Down to my Apple TV downstairs. So Yeah, so we watched those. I also started a new show that started on Hulu called Murder at the End of the World. It is the new show from Britt Marling and what's his face, whose name I will butcher if I try to say it off the top of my head. But they wrote the OA, and they wrote
After Earth or Another Earth. I keep saying
yeah,
After Earth. It's Another Earth. Yes.
yeah. And this one is interesting. Like I've read some reviews that say it's really good and falls off at the end. I feel like it's a little slow to start because they're very almost too character oriented in their stories. So that they move a little slower. This one it bounces back and forth, but this girl, was raised by her father. Her father, I can't quite tell if he was a crime scene investigator or if he was just like a coroner that was, brought in on a lot of stuff. But anyways, at a young age, she's involved with crime scenes and how people died and things like that. So she's kind of got this natural gift for it. And then when she gets older, she's a kind of a low level hacker. Like she's got some hacking experience, and she kind of becomes an investigator on her own of like unsolved murders. And then her and this guy she meets solve one, and she writes a book about it. So she becomes a little famous. And then the main antagonist, I guess, I can't quite tell if he's a villain or not. And for the life of me, I can't remember the actor's name right now. But he's a rich like tech billionaire. And so once a year, he invites a bunch of other people that he considers to be really intelligent to a retreat where they kind of just bounce ideas off of each other, kind of like a think tank kind of thing. And for some reason, this girl gets invited, and it turns out it was his wife that invites her. And his wife is Britt Marling. She was like kind of a legendary hacker, like she was great. And she invites the girl and the girl's boyfriend, who she is no longer with. So it's kind of like them meeting up again. And then by the end of the first episode, the boyfriend is murdered or dies on this retreat, and the girl is absolutely convinced that it's murder. And then so now we're looking at it as a murder, and there's a whole investigation going on. I think there's only 2 episodes on Hulu. I think it drops weekly, so it'll take a while to finish. But it's slow moving. It bounces kind of back and forth through time. Like if you watch the OA, you're probably kind of used to that at this point, kind of the storytelling. I'm really waiting for it to really go somewhere, but it's not bad. It's solid, especially if you like the OA and you understand the way they tell a story. So I'm curious about it. At least I don't think it's brilliant yet. Like I think the OA was so weird that it was probably better. But this one's interesting. Like it's cool. I'm waiting to see where it goes. And get going on that.
Word.
So
I know I came on later, so I don't know if hey, the show's gonna be edited. We don't know how everything's gonna look. But that said, I bring all of that up to say that I know Jen's been super busy, for the last couple of weeks, maybe months or whatever. So I just want to make sure that while we have you, we get as much like coverage, out of you as far as like what you've seen. So I don't know if I missed that while it was
everything
gone.
I've seen is like you guys have already talked about.
Word. So just Hunger Games and
Well, no, because I've been watching like older stuff. Like I watched like House of Usher and what's the other one I watched, Kevin? The one after.
oh yeah. You watched Midnight Mass, right?
I watched Midnight Mass. Yeah.
okay, well, check this out though. But I feel like sometimes on our show, right? Like, for example, we talked about Blue Beetle like months ago when I saw it. And of course, I sang its praises, and now the viewers are gonna be like, well, Andrew doesn't know what he's talking about because Kevin hated it. No, but like, so basically, it's all about just giving your spin on it, so we all have different spins, and I can totally like talk about, like, I haven't seen House of Usher yet. That's another one that I have to catch up with, right? I did like Midnight Mass a lot, and I liked how atmospheric it was. And for me, like I didn't know what I was getting into. So when like priest is like, like getting down and like, licking blood off the floor, I think, if I remember correctly, because he was so addicted to it. And then like the damn angel demon thing, vampire is just chilling in like priest robes in the damn church. Like what? Like it was crazy. Like this show went and to the point where literally, like, spoiler alert, guys, but it's old, so who cares? Like the whole island is fucked. Like literally everyone's dead except for the people in the boat. Like the rowboat. Like that show went from 0 to like 100, not immediately, but I didn't know it was going to go to 100. Like I thought maybe 30, 40. Nah, everyone's dead. Like it was crazy. So anyway, I say talk about it if you want to, but it made an impression on me. I loved it.
I mean, so I watched House of Usher and I loved it. Like I was so just loving it. It was just like blowing through it because I just was watching it as much as I possibly could. And then that's when Kevin was like, watch Midnight Mass, which you liked better, right, Kevin?
I do like Midnight Mass better. It's not like leaps and bounds better in my opinion. Like they're both pretty friggin' incredible. But there was something about the story of Midnight Mass that really got me, and kind of like the idea that religion and something like that can be so easily skewed, where you can see something that is this powerful and think it's good and it's not, right? And so it was, that whole take was interesting to me, and maybe it's because I'm not a particularly religious person, and so that kind of I don't know, kind of shit take on religion that I have, it kind of spoke to me a little bit. Just like I said, that the way that priest is drawn, and he sees this thing that is powerful, and he's like, this is from God, this is, blah blah blah, whatever, and he is just wrong, just 100% wrong, but he so believes that he's right that he lets this whole chain of events occur because of his beliefs. I would say House of Usher is not that different in its thinking, right? Like you're talking about corporatization and power instead of religion, but it's the same idea. If you let these things kind of rule your life and rule your decision making, shit's going to go south. And there's some awesome moments in Usher. I think that whole Lemons monologue was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. About, it's not about turning lemons into lemonade, it's about marketing lemons. So Bruce Greenwood just does this phenomenal monologue that I could probably watch like 3 times a day and still be stoked about it. But I know how I felt about it. But you're right. I want to know what Jen thinks about the two of them, because
I mean, I loved both, but I did lean a little more towards Usher. Like for me, it just was a little bit more exciting. It was like Gossip Girl times 100, just more, I don't know. I just found it more interesting. But I definitely like Midnight Mass, but they're both disgusting, like in their own ways. But I don't know, the angel. Every time he was just like gnawing on someone's neck and they were just like looking over, like still alive. Oh my God. That just
and to be okay.
Like, so, what? Why do I do this to myself?
So to be fair, Entertainment Weekly just decided that the Haunting of Hill House, which is the first Mike Flanagan show on Netflix, is the best show ever on Netflix.
Well, damn.
Really?
So I still think that these last two are better, but when I'm talking about these Flanagan shows, just because I say one better doesn't mean I don't absolutely love the other ones. Like I love every single show that he's made, and I think Hill House is fantastic. So I definitely recommend watching it for sure if you haven't.
Yeah, I want to watch I definitely want to watch the other one because I liked both. I feel like I'm definitely like a fan of his now. I don't know, it just really got me thinking, and there were so many times like, I don't know, I just felt like so many like, I don't even know, like it just made me think like, is this guy a conspiracy theorist? Like, I don't know, it was really just making my mind go crazy, like thinking about all kinds of stuff, more with House of Usher. I can't remember specifically like what was setting me off, but I don't know, I just thought it was so unique and such a cool concept, and I still was like confused the whole time, but like invested to try and figure it out. So
yeah, and I thought it was cool
really
too,
loved
because
it.
the storytelling behind it is that each episode is loosely based on a story by Poe. Now,
Yes.
not hardcore, like it's not by any stretch a direct retelling, but they're close enough, and the names line up and all that. And I think the last episode is actually called The Raven, or is it?
I
Yeah,
think I remember
anyways,
one being called the Raven.
yeah. So it's good. It's so
And
good.
that's kind of how it had the end. Yeah, it was, because he was like peering down off the fence.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I'm glad that you liked it. I think you will like the other ones. Midnight Club is kind of a more YA story,
Oh,
because it was
yes.
based
I started
on,
that one. I forgot. I did start, but I was not getting into it as quickly. And
because that one's based on, it's not R.L. Stine, it was somebody else, another YA horror writer that was popular like when we were like in high school. But I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
but it seems more like because you know how like all his movies have the same actors.
Yeah, this,
But they were like the younger,
Yeah.
we're like Midnight Mass and House of Usher were very like similar, the same actors, which I thought was so cool to just see them in a completely different,
and if you if you start
like,
with
character.
Hill House, seeing where the kid from E.T., I can never remember his real name.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that was him until my husband came down and saw me watching it, and he was like, "That's whatever his name is."
Yeah.
Elliot.
Seeing him in Usher and seeing him in Hill House, insanely different, like just
Yeah.
insanely different characters. One thing that I thought was really fun too is Rahul Kohli, who is the he was the sheriff in Midnight Mass, and then he's one of the sons in Usher. He's a big nerd, like he's a big time nerd. He was on iZombie when that was on CW. But he was so excited to work with Mark Hamill. As you can imagine, like really, like if you're even slightly nerdy, you'd be like, this is fucking awesome. And so he like, there's pictures that Mike Flanagan took of his first day on set, and just like he's all giddy like the first time that he gets to meet Mark Hamill. And then Mark Hamill replied on Twitter, and he's like, he just totally praised Rahul Kohli, and he's like, I think I made a friend for life, and like all this stuff. And it's just cool to see, and you can see why these people are the people that Mike Flanagan continues to work with, because they're all open. Plus, I mean, Carla Gugino is obviously his movie muse. Like, she's gorgeous, and she's in everything he does, and she's amazing. And then his wife is gorgeous, Kate Siegel, the one with the white hair in House of Usher, and her part is smaller, I think, in Midnight Mass, but she's beautiful, and Mike Flanagan's doing all right for himself. He's surrounded by really cool, really talented people, and I think he's got a long career ahead of him as he moves over to Amazon. He just finished filming a Stephen King short story called The Life of Chuck, which is a very not horror film. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think Rahul Kohli's in it. I know Mark Hamill is in it, and a few other people, but it'll be a really fun one to watch because it's very different, and it's a film based on somebody else's stuff. Like, he didn't put this together. This is Stephen King's story. So it'll be, like I said, a fun one to see. It should be out sometime early next year, I think. I think it'll be on Amazon.
Yeah. Jen, anything else that you've seen?
I mean, the only other stuff I've watched is like a Hallmark Christmas movies, so we don't really need to get into those.
You
But
talk
they serve a
about
purpose.
you can talk about one, and then you're talking about them all.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah,
they're-
exactly. You just could. They're all the same.
But
But,
to be fair, they're great feel good movies if if you aren't hypercritical.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You
because they
can't judge them.
yeah they really
go with
are all
it.
the same. Like, I laughed because Andrew, you posted that thing that showed the picture,
Yes.
whatever,
And I was like, this is real.
and they
Like,
are
I was
literally
there.
like they're
Even
like,
down to the colors of the
oh yeah,
outfits on the covers, they're
Yep.
all the same.
but
I
like
know.
down
I
to
love
the minute on the movies, like the plots, the way that the plots move and the things that happen, every single one is the same. Like,
Yes.
you can guarantee that at 15 minutes, 20 minutes to go, the couple that is going to be together at the end, that is going to be together at the end, are going to split up. They're going to have their thing and they're going to split up. And with 10 minutes to go, they're going to meet up again, and then they're going to have their happy ending, and then the credits are going to roll. Like,
That's exactly what happened at the last one I watched.
Yeah. I mean, you can put it to the minute, like the things that happen. It's so formulaic, but the reason that it's so formulaic is it's a formula that works. The people that watch them, that's what they want to see. And so you put the thing they want to see in front of them with some different people, and slightly different, like one's at a ski lodge, one's in a small town, one's at, but it's the same shit.
Yeah. The last one we watched was in San Francisco, so I love that one because I always love to watch stuff set in San Francisco. So,
Yeah.
And my little one likes to. I mean, as long as they're not too, but for the most part, they're pretty harmless.
Yeah, they're rarely
Little rom-coms.
spicy. Yeah, they're rarely spicy. There rarely is language issues. Like, they're pretty universal. Like, pretty much anybody can watch a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And that's the point. And the Hallmark Channel will air those movies from like Halloween till the end of the year. And then they love their Christmas in July. Hallmark will also do Christmas in July. So the entire month of July, they will show Christmas movies.
I think my kids were trying to watch them then because they've been just like so excited. They were trying to watch Christmas movies during like Halloween. I was like, no, we are not.
Yeah, you finished fucking Halloween first. Come on.
Yeah, we started watching Halloween movies in September. So September, October is Halloween.
Yep.
November, December is Christmas.
Yes.
Although there's now a Thanksgiving horror film called
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's actually doing really well. It's like an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've heard great reviews because it has like an 80s slasher feel
It looks
to
really
the
scary.
advertising and stuff, but it, like, a lot of people are saying it's more of a 2000 slasher, so closer to like a Scream or something like that. But it looks fun. I'm not going to go see it in the theater, but
I was
I'll see
debating
it.
on it, but
Yeah, I'll see it when it comes out
it looks
on
scary.
streaming, and then next year, if it's good, I'll watch it during Thanksgiving, because that's what you do.
Yeah, you gotta
Um,
line up your holidays with the movies. Wait, there's another. Wait, I wrote it down. What is it? There's a Christmas Silent Night. Last year we had Violent
Oh,
Night.
yeah,
but
yeah.
There's a Silent Night.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. I haven't even seen the trailer for it, I don't think, but I have heard of it. So another Christmas horror, and Violent Night was a lot of fun, to be fair.
I liked Violent Night.
Yeah, that was fun. David Harbour was hilarious.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, I should rewatch it.
yep, I think I bought it.
You bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I think I own it.
Wow.
I might be wrong, but I might not be. I might own it. I might watch that, watch that and Die Hard in 2 nights before Christmas. You got to watch Die Hard on Christmas Eve.
I did that last year. I actually watched it Christmas Eve while I was wrapping presents.
Yeah, you got to watch it in real time.
Yep.
Watch shit go down at the Nakatomi Plaza. But yeah, so I don't know. You guys have anything else that you've watched?
Well, I'll just say really quickly, and I saw Bill Burr live at the Park MGM.
I'm jealous.
And no, it was pretty dope. And then he actually had this guy named Dean Del Rey I'm sure that like Pete knows who he is because Pete's like a comedy guy. But Dean was good. I think it's cool when like the opener is actually really good.
Yes.
And Dean and Bill apparently are friends, and I believe it. Like, you know,
Who
like
was it? Dean who?
Del Rey, Delray. But he just got up there and did his thing, and it was funny, I've only seen a comedy show once live, like at like a theater or whatever, and it is a different experience. And I can actually feel like the pressure because like you're talking like hundreds of people in this big auditorium versus like a little club, and you still got to feel the energy in the room. Now the good thing is like Dean was like, this is a good crowd, and like, this Vegas crowd was like, whoop, it was great. But then when Bill came on, there were a few moments where he was like, okay, we're moving on to that, like we're moving off that topic. So the one topic that he definitely was like, okay, we're leaving that one alone, was he was talking about anti-Semitism, and then he brought up Kanye West, but the laughs were kind of like, because of the whole like, the Hamas thing and everything. So he's like, yeah, we're moving on from that. His main points were actually about race, but it was begging, because he's white, like banging white people, whatever. Like, and that was okay, but it was just like, but I could feel it, like even though, and it was his last show of his tour, like so that I felt lucky that it was the last show because we got a little bit more extra, but yeah, like I say this, I'm not really the comedy guy, I'm not really the stand-up guy, but I do like Bill Burr. I do like, he's controversial now. Like, I do like, what's his name? Dave Chappelle. So if Dave Chappelle was coming out, I would go see him. But it was sold out. There was literally not an empty seat in the house. And yeah, I felt lucky to be able to see a guy who I think right now might be in his prime because he just put out that Old Dads movie. He wrote it and directed it. So that's something that I think I did that was pretty cool. So I figured I would share that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if Pete watches or whatever, like, jump in, like, let us know about Dean Del Rey. Is he dope? Kevin, I know you're into comedy too, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Dean Del Rey or no?
I have not. I'm behind on current comics. I know of the bigger comics, but the up and comers I'm not familiar enough with. I have to imagine that Vegas is a tough place to play a comedy show because you never know who your audience is going to be.
Because it's all
like,
tourists. Exactly.
Yeah, because like if you're touring and you go to Philly, what a Philadelphia, if you've done it long enough, what a Philadelphia crowd is. You go to New York, what a New York City crowd is. I mean, that's a tourist trap too, but you're going to get New York City people. Vegas inherently is conventions, tourists, all this other stuff. So the people coming to your shows is a much wider variety of people. So I have to imagine that on any given night, you're dealing with a different type of crowd. And so
the crowd that I did see though, like I imagine like a lot, like it was pretty like, it was pretty like monotone, if you can know what I'm saying, so a monotone male, if you can catch what I'm saying, right? So I felt like so it was like, but I think for the most part, like they rolled with the punches because yes, he made fun of like, a Trumper or whatever, but he also made fun of the liberals. But I would still say if I had to like wager, like more than half the crowd was definitely probably more a little bit on the red side, but it still came off. It really did. I wish I could do a better job of actually recreating some of his jokes, but I'm not a comic. But we laughed, but I do remember feeling like Dean, there at no point was I worried about him. I was like, okay, you're fine, you got this. Whereas I felt like maybe he's tired, like maybe because it was weird to actually notice him going, y'all didn't like that one. Okay, moving on. Because the crowd was just not feeling whatever he was saying,
a good comic can deal with that. Like I saw Stephen Lynch and how am I just now blanking on his name? He passed away from a drug overdose. He's like one of the I can picture his face.
Not Sam Kinison. I'm thinking about
Jackass guy?
No, what'd you say?
Sam Kinison?
No, not Kinison. I'm so pissed that I can't remember his name. He's amazing. It'll come to me or it won't. But he was up there. He delivers like kind of one-liners. Like his whole thing is just kind of one-liners, and he moves on, and they're funny or they're not. And so like a bit that he did was like literally reading his one-liners out of a book. And so he'd go off and he'd read some and everybody laugh. He'd read some and everybody laugh. Every now and then he'd read one and like nobody laughed. And he was like, well, fuck that. And he'd like cross it out and he'd move on to the next one. And it was absolutely hilarious. And I think the best comics like know how to deal with that.
Real time. Yes.
Like you have to know that some things don't land everywhere, and you have to know and kind of feel like if this thing didn't work, you have to know that, okay, then this next thing might not work. So I'll skip over to this, this other thing. And I think Bill Burr's done this long enough that he would get it. But I'm jealous. Like I would love to see Bill Burr. And to be fair, I think he's out here on the East Coast all the time. I'm just lazy and don't get out there to see him. But I'm gonna have to at some point. So yeah.
Did you see Old Dads?
I did.
Yeah.
You see it, Jen?
Like it?
Oh shit! Here we go. This is juicy. All right, you've seen it, then you talk
Okay,
about it.
I didn't finish it because I didn't like it. I could not get into it.
Yeah,
Like it?
I like so. And Andrew liked it the most out of all of us. I thought it started slow. It felt a little like preachy was what how I kind of described it, like to me, because I do like Bill Burr's comedy, and I know that he's always saying something. Like his comedy is like really is always saying something. But for me, it felt a little like preachy about the shit that people were going through, and then it picked up, and then it got better by the end, and I liked the ending. And I think Andrew, you were the opposite. You liked it more at the beginning and less at the end.
Yeah, I felt like at the end, like now my memory sucks, but I feel like at the end, maybe it felt a little more color by numbers, might have been the term I used. Like it was more predictable. But I did like the fact that at the end, like instead of wallowing in his like distaste for the cultural difference, he actually realized, hey, like I need to get with the times, and I talk about how he used the scooter. Even though he thought of a scooter as like lame or Gen Z-ish or whatever. But no, I liked it because it just, for me, it brought to like, it voiced some of the stuff that you just kind of see, and it's kind of BS. Like some of the most like super, I am like empathic and I'm like super liberal or whatever, but you're kind of an asshole, but like you clothe it in this like, I'm just a wonderful person, because that teacher or whatever, she was totally like not like, it was terrible, or the principal, whatever she was. No, dude, like chill, yeah, I just felt like he was speaking for the crotchety older Gen Xers, that are out there. Now, am I as extreme as him? No, but have I thought these things? Yes, but like I will adapt. Yeah, it's a Netflix movie. It's not a theatrical film, but I finished it, and I actually made it a point to watch it on the plane on my phone, and that's more, what's the word? More dedication than I would normally do. So I'm a fan of Bill Burr. One of the things I loved about it, and then I'll let you talk, Shan, is like the idea of parents who do not. Sorry, this is like I'm not a parent, so I have to argue like reel this shit in, but like. Don't like your kids can just like hit people and like run amok, and you're just like, but like what? Like they actually showed that, and then of course when the one kid hits the pregnant mom in the stomach, and then as soon as you say something to that mom is now like not talking to you, and then like she forces her husband to like not talk to you. Like what the fuck, man? And I've definitely seen that, experienced it. Way too much information. I dated someone who had a kid, and I thought their kid was fucking completely an animal, and I remember being dumb enough to actually like say something, and then like my office manager was like, Andrew, like, no, you do never tell a mother how to raise your fucking kid, and that was it. Like it was like, and it was a lot. So for me, the new rule was no more kids. Andrew, you're so superficial. No, Andrew. I mean, no, not no, Andrew. I was raised by a disciplinarian. Like, your kid should not be running around up and down escalators and shit. And if you go to a museum and you want to see the Back to the Future car, I'm getting awful specific, and your kid, you can't because your kid's running everywhere, and now he's ruining our whole museum day because you can't control your fucking kid. That movie like voiced it. So that is the end of my rant. And now I'll let you speak because I'm legitimately curious as to why you hated the movie.
Honestly, I did not. So I maybe didn't give it a fair shot. I did not get very far in. I completely remembered that part though that you're talking about, and you're absolutely right. Like, that was like completely showing, the terrible mothers that do that shit. But I don't know what I don't know. It just didn't, it felt like a bad movie to me. Like, I don't even know how, like I said, I didn't get that far. Maybe I was like in a bad mood. Who knows? Maybe it just wasn't my jam that day, but I just couldn't get into it. And it wasn't like I was offended or anything. Like, I completely like agree with you on, letting the kids run amok, and like, that was a terrible mother in that movie, letting her, just making excuses for her kid. But yeah, whatever. I don't, like I said, I don't even have that much feedback on it because I didn't get that far. No, I didn't get that far. I was like, well, and I don't usually do that. I usually will watch things, but I think I was like, I don't think I need to watch this.
Well, to be fair, I don't, it's funny actually, because like, I think all the feedback that I got on my feed about it all came from dudes. Like, I don't think there's a single woman who was like, oh my God, have you seen Old Dads? So maybe it really was a specific audience.
Oh yeah, it definitely had a target audience.
Yeah,
sure.
maybe I was like, I think I would have been expecting something
Gen
different.
X dude, rather.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. Trying to think of another movie that I thought it was going to be more like, but now I can't remember what movie that was. I don't know.
Another movie that I'm looking forward to watching actually that is like Strays, because I think both of you guys talked about that, and I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to give my opinion on Strays at some point because the trailers looked good. So yeah, I think Strays and Old Dads might be similar in that they're not like Oscar worthy movies in any stretch. They're just kind of silly, fun movies. And I think I remember saying something.
Yeah,
about
I was not the hugest fan of Strays either.
Oh, you weren't? Okay.
No, I could appreciate it for what it was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like blowing me out of the
Okay.
park. And a lot of times when I was laughing, I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah. Like Hot Tub,
like Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine. I think it's probably the same situation. Like, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
I do like dumb movies though. So I mean, I don't hold anything. I love a good, just ridiculous. But I don't know. Like, Old Dad's just, I don't know.
Bill Burr, we still like you if you're watching.
What?
So Bill Burr, we still like you if you're watching.
No, I like him. It was literally nothing even against him. I think he's super funny. Like, I don't know. It was
he wrote it and directed it though. So if he said it was a bad movie, then you're like saying he's a bad director.
Did you see Depeche Mode yet?
Yo, that's next Friday.
Ooh.
Or Saturday. I think it's whatever the first is. Wait, did I say next Friday? No, it is. No,
it's 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Next Friday is Thanksgiving, and I will be in the day. But yeah, no, it's yeah. Can't wait. Did you get tickets? Did you go? I mean, did you?
No, I just
couldn't justify.
No, no, too much. But I would have loved to. So I will live vicariously through you.
Well, if they don't like, because I went and saw both, at Bill Burr and Tony, who I saw like last weekend. They made her put her phones in those like pouches, so you couldn't even like record anything. So
really?
Yeah, man.
Oh well, for Bill,
it makes sense, but yeah, for 2020, Tony they did it too. Which
wow.
Yeah. But there's way too many people for it's a T1. It's like they won't do that for Depeche Mode. So yeah, I'll make sure to.
Where so where was Bill Burr at, and where is Depeche Mode at?
Depeche Mode's at T-Mobile Arena, so it's going to be a big venue, which is, you'll love this because you know it's all walking distance. No, but like, so T-Mobile Arena is like right behind where the Hello Kitty store is, whatever, like around there. And then Park MGM, yeah, same place, same area.
Oh yeah,
where Bill Burr was. And then you didn't ask, but 2020 Tony was at this casino called the Palms, so it's like a little off. But that's what that was. It was nice there. So yeah.
Get to see so much good stuff now.
Yeah, Katy Perry. Sorry, let me shut up. Sorry, but that was good too. It was her very last show, and it was dope. Like I'm a post up. I haven't had a chance yet. Like, what's her name was there? Celine Dion was there. Like, we haven't seen her in forever because she had that like weird thing where she was like super skinny. But she was there. Orlando Bloom was there. Because that's who she's with. Her 3-year-old was in the crowd. She was singing to her directly. Apparently the royals, as in like Markle and Harry were there, but I didn't see them. But it was a damn good show. And Katy Perry, I like maybe 3 songs, like Dark Horse and Slave to the Rhythm, and I don't know, maybe one more I'm forgetting. But yo, I respect her. Like, she has some Madonna energy, man. Like, she's kind of badass, and the show was good. So yes, lots of shows.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to, I don't know, close it out, but I'm going to talk about this show. It's called Blue Eye Samurai. It's on Netflix. It is, I believe, 8 episodes. It's kind of fucking incredible. Like it's an ultra mature story. So like, if you look at this picture behind me, it looks like lotus blossoms till you really look at it. It's blood and gore and beheadedness and all that good stuff. The show does not skimp on the samurai, murder content. There's definitely a lot going on there. There is cartoon nudity and cartoon sex where it makes sense, like for the story, right? Like when you think about, so the gist of it is that it's a period of time. And I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not up on my Japanese history, unfortunately, but there's a period of time when they effectively outlawed white people in Japan. And like, so there were very few white people in Japan. They were kind of trying to get back, to their heritage and their roots. And so this girl, it's a girl, is basically the bastard daughter of somebody that I think, if I'm not mistaken, sexually assaulted her mom. And so her whole story, it's a story of revenge. Like, she is out to kill the last 4 white people that are responsible for her mom's death. And so she's been training, her whole life. And there's a lot of backstory about that. The cast is really great. I can't name a ton of them off the top of my head, but the kid that played, not kid, but the dude from Heroes, the Asian. No.
I know you're talking about.
His name was Hero, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. It was Hero. Yeah.
He is one of the kind of main side characters in it. Like, it's a sad story. It's Masaoka. Not. Yeah, Masaoka. It's a sad story. It's not like super uplifting. It's definitely, it's a tragedy. It's a very samurai tale. Like, it is a revenge story. Like, she is coming up. She has this, she has a focused path. There's the whole story of her having the best blade, right? Like, part of the story is effectively a meteorite crashes. After her mother passes away, she is raised by a sword maker who is like the best sword maker at least in his area of Japan. So she learns that particular art. He spends years trying to forge this meteorite into a sword and can't figure it out. And at some point she does. So she has this sword now. She's learned from him. She's able to forge the sword from this meteorite, and it's this incredible sword. And like I said, she's trained her whole life, so she's a badass. And everybody thinks she's a boy because you can't be a girl and be anything but a geisha or somebody's wife or something like that. So that's kind of where a lot of the sex and nudity comes in, is when she has to deal with things at brothels and things like that. So it's not like they're not just like, hey, we need a sex scene, let's throw some boobies in here and go to town. Like there's a reason for all of it. The character that Masaoka plays is in the first, like basically in the first scene, and he from the jump has no hands. Like whatever he's done in his life, somebody removed his hands for him. And he's really sweet, but at the same time, like he finds a way to really care about the main character pretty much right away, and sticks with her the whole time. Like he doesn't call himself her assistant. He's her, not sidekick either, but whatever. Like he's there with her the whole time. And man, it's just good. It's a really good storytelling. The art is really pretty. It is, like I said, violent where it should be violent. I don't know if there's a plan for a second season. I haven't finished the first season yet. I still have a little bit to go. But honestly, like I can't recommend it enough if that stuff is your cup of tea. Like I think maybe not everybody's going to love it if it's not their jam, but on Rotten Tomatoes it's 100% from the critics.
Yep.
95% from the audience.
Yes.
It doesn't show numbers yet, so I don't know
how many
what that actual percentage is, but it's damn good. So like I said, it's visually beautiful. I had another background that I was going to put up. Maybe I'll throw it up real quick just so you can see like some of the art stuff that they're doing with it.
Before you take your background down, I want to say something.
Yeah,
I really like how they made the cherry blossom branch the bloody splotches, and then the splotches are the samurais flying off.
Yeah, like it, and it I mean, to be fair, it's that violent. Like she is killing people. Like people are dying in this. Here it is. So see, this artwork too is really like stunning too, and so because like Japanese culture in that era of Japan, like the art is always very stylized and very pretty. I think it works really well and tells that story really well. George Takei has a role in it. Randall Park has a role in it.
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah. Like it's good. It's really, really good. And like I said, I say go watch it if you're even remotely interested, if you're even remotely into this stuff. I think it's brilliant. It is very adult. Like it's not a story that's just like a kid's action story or whatever. This is adult material that could have been like a great live action series or live action movie too. But it really lends itself to the art style. And if you see, like in this picture, she's wearing these glasses. It's to try and hide that her eyes are blue, because her eyes are blue, everybody knows that they call her the blue-eyed demon, because nobody else has blue eyes in Japan, right? Everybody has dark eyes. And so it becomes later in the story kind of becomes her calling card. Everybody's worried, everybody's afraid of the blue-eyed demon. She fights off people that other people should not be able to fight off, because she's a badass that had a reason to become as badass as she is, which is always common in Japanese samurai tales, right? Like you always have this person that is the best for some reason. If you watched the live action One Piece, or I think probably even the animated One Piece, there's a character in there that wants to be a swordsman. He wants to be the best swordsman in the world. Like, and that's always like a kind of a trope that's in these stories. So it plays out really well, and it's awesome. So
Yeah.
and they're long episodes. They're like 50-minute episodes. They're not short. Like this is a big sweeping story. And I think it's, in a way, it's kind of for everyone. Like if you can get behind the revenge story. And but yeah, it's awesome.
There's so much good television, man. Like
Yes, there is.
I think we're spoiled for choice. I don't even remember the exact thing, but I know I posted another like anime on Netflix, and I think you and my friend Mike reacted to it. Like, you're gonna put it on your list. It looked good to me.
Yeah, it was the sci-fi one, right? It's on
Yeah.
HBO Max.
Oh, my bad. But either way, there's just so much out there. And yeah, but usually around this time of year, like around the holidays, when like, at least for me, work is kind of slowed down, like that's when I might get a chance to do some catching up. But
I think it's fortunate timing too. I think especially for you to be kind of behind, because come the next few months, we're gonna wane off of new stuff. Like you're gonna
because
be
of the damn fucking because of the writer's strike. Exactly.
Yeah, so I think there's gonna be, for you, because reality television is not your jam. It's not really mine either, but I do have a show that I love. But for the most part, reality TV is not for me. Like I like my Hell's Kitchens. I like my Gordon Ramsay shows. I like my cooking shows, and those. So there is some reality TV that I can regularly watch. But I know that as soon as the strike stopped, they jumped into recording or scheduling recording everything. Like I told Jen before you jumped on, The Last of Us season 2, they're already ready. They're going to start recording January 7th. Like they're ready to get into that. Stranger Things already started recording. Like David Harbour got the call 3 hours after the strike ended that he needed to get his ass to set. Like so I don't think the gap between, or the downtime is going to be quite as long as they were worried about. But I think you'll be in a good position to catch up if you're behind. And it goes for anybody that's behind. I think there's going to be a period of time where you're going to be looking for stuff because you're not going to be drawn to everything that's out there. And there's a lot of stuff to catch up on. There's a lot of good stuff, unless Netflix cancels it, gets rid of it, like Shadow and Bone, which they unfortunately just canceled after 2 seasons, even though, what is it, in June of this year, Shadow and Bone season 2 was their highest rated show or highest watched show ever, and then they canceled it because they're dicks. So it's always about money with the streaming services. Netflix has a tendency to really cancel shows that are great. So they can kiss my butt, but also I'll watch whatever they put out.
All pop, no culture. Not sponsored.
That's right. Sponsored by Apple, not sponsored by Netflix. Suck it, Netflix. But also please continue to put out good content. That's actually another show that I watched, got caught up on. It's hard to find because it's on MGM Plus, which is a channel most people don't even know friggin' exists. But the show is called From, and funny enough, it's from the creators of Lost, starring Harold Perrineau. And it is a weird, funky horror sci-fi show about people that inadvertently get pulled into this town that doesn't seem to be on any map. You can't leave once you're in the town, and there's monsters that come out every night that want to kill everybody.
Nice.
And it's a mystery as to how it exists, why it exists. The finale of season 2 is like the very last second of the show puts a crazy twist on it. I would definitely tell you, if you have the opportunity to get a free trial of MGM Plus, even for a 1-week trial, you could watch all 2 seasons really quickly in those 7 days. It's worth it. I haven't seen anything else on MGM Plus that I'm super stoked about. There's a show that supposedly is better. So there's one other show that's really good on there. But it's hard for me to pump the network right now. if it's somehow included in your cable subscription or something, by all means, find From. It's excellent. It's really, really good. Especially if you're into the, like I said, the kind of sci-fi horror stuff. It's really good. But otherwise, wait until they're all out and then get your trial and watch it. But I really like From. It's rated really well. Like it does really well from the people that have watched it. But like I said, it's hard to watch because it's such an obscure channel. But yeah, I watch that too. So go check that out if you are so inclined.
Put up, man.
Yeah. So do you guys have anything else?
I have nothing else except yeah, it's not really related to like the podcast, but I'll just say fuck it. Ate at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant for the first time.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
Damn it. It's if you name them I could tell you. But
is it just Gordon Ramsay's steak or is it Gordon Ramsay's burger place?
Burger place. So he did the burger place and it was good. Thought of the menu because we talked about the whole like, you know, a nice gourmet burger. Yes, chef. And then the Formula F1's happening right now. So if you hear any like in the background, that's what's happening. So we saw that too. So it was a crazy good weekend, man. But yeah, Gordon Ramsay, Bill Burr. I'm forgetting things already. Formula One, Hunger Games, Jewel Nightclub. Like it's been good.
Nice. I'm jealous. I want to go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. I've been to a what's his name? Shit, I'm sucking at names. The comedian who I couldn't remember was Mitch Hedberg, who was fucking incredible. So I'm an asshole for not remembering that. Hubert Keller. I went to his burger place in San Francisco. He's a incredible chef, world renowned chef, and he's got a burger place in San Francisco that's really good. It might be closed now, but then he's got a fine dining place called Fleur de Lis, I think is also in San Francisco, but it's crazy expensive. But yeah, I'm jealous. I want to go to Gordon Ramsay. I've watched enough Gordon Ramsay shows now that I've been Ramsayized. I need to go to a Ramsay restaurant.
Yeah,
I want to have his beef Wellington at some point.
Yeah, come out to Vegas, man. We'll just do Gordon Ramsay because it's all
he owns Vegas. Like he's got tons of restaurants there.
Have you tried Yardbird?
No, but I mean, I think I've
heard good things about I've heard good things about Yardbird.
Okay,
we loved it, but like they had like gluten-free fried chicken, which is like amazing for us because it was it's good. You bet. Yeah. I mean, even with you're not gluten-free, it's very good.
Okay.
Plenty of good things there. You could definitely need a reservation though.
Good to know. Yes, thank you. I'll take any and all recommendations.
Cool.
So Kim will join us next week because apparently
that's what she says, but then she got stuck in the bathtub today, so who knows? We try. Andy was so super excited about coming. Pete was super excited about making it.
I thought it was supposed to be everybody.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be. I thought we were rolling deep tonight.
Yeah, those losers, all of them, losers, the lot of them. But yeah, maybe next week. Who knows? Everybody likes to let me down. I'll just be here by myself. It's fine. It's fine. I don't have any real friends.
I love you, Kev.
I know. I do too.
That's good. That's good.
But all right. Well, with that, I will say to everybody at home, watching or listening, thank you for joining us, and we will put out an episode next week or the following week at some point. Have a happy Thanksgiving because that will be hopefully the day after I drop this episode. And we'll see you next time.
I think I watched like all the stuff that you guys had already watched, and then just been watching like crappy like reality TV and stuff.
I'm watching Love Island Games on Peacock.
Your one acceptable reality TV show.
Yes, I
if
will
I'm
watch.
remembering correctly.
Yeah, I will watch all of Love Island all the time.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's fun. Like they're all 20 somethings. They're all beautiful, and they're all on an island somewhere where they're in swimsuits all day. So like the dudes are all jacked, the girls are all, pretty, and it's fun. It's different drama than something like a Real Housewives or something like that. Because like they're just mad at each other all the time on the housewife shows. Like they're just bitching at each other so much.
Yes.
And there's less of that in here. Like they're really trying to find relationships and stuff. And it's fun to watch. You get some really, if you're lucky, you get some really good personalities in there. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This
the
one,
games one, they just play games more. They're like competing more.
yeah, it's really different. It follows kind of the same formula where you start with a group of people, then you add people, then they pair up, and if somebody's kind of on the outs, they get kicked out. But usually during Love Island, during the regular show, most of the voting and most of the things that are done are audience based. So it runs 6 nights a week.
Oh, wow.
And it runs real time. So or at least close to real time. So when you watch it, they're actually in there. So people are voting for who they like, which couples they think are better, who they should be, all this stuff. And so it's very audience based. This Love Island Games was actually pre-recorded. It's already done technically. But of course they all have their, signed gag orders and everything, so they can't say anything about it. But this one is all based on a competition. Like it's an actual competition. So even though they're coupled up, like some people might be coupled up because they think they're physically more capable of, playing these games or doing these things. And some people are coupled up because they like each other. And so it's different, and you can feel like it's way more tense because all of a sudden it's, they're friends, but they have to kind of turn on each other as it goes along because it's a competition.
Yeah.
And it's a trip.
So do they go there as a couple already? Is it one of those or
no? So the way that regular Love Island works is what they usually do is they send in either the boys or the girls first. So there'll be like 6 of, one gender in there. They meet each other, say hi, whatever, get to know each other for a couple minutes. And then they send in the girls one at a time. And what they do is like if it's, so say it's 6 girls and one guy comes in, the girls all have the opportunity to step forward if they're interested. And then the guy will pick any girl, whether they step forward or not. But then when the next guy comes in, they'll do the same thing, but he can pick, from the girls remaining, or even take the girl that's already been picked. And so eventually, once all 6 come in, they're all paired up, and then they'll go through like a couple of days, and they'll all get to know each other and stuff, and then they'll do like what they call a recoupling, so they can all repick kind of who they want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they'll do usually is they'll bring in one person of one gender. So now there's an odd amount. So the next time they couple up, when the one person, the new person's out, they're out, and they come in, and then like 70% of the way through the season, they do this thing called the villa, where they send all the girls to a different house. So all the guys are in one house, all the girls are in another, and they bring in 6 new people to basically like test where people are at. And it's chaos. It's just chaos. It's it's fun because they're young, you know, so like you watch it and you're like, most of like usually in most cases these aren't going to work out after the show's over, you know.
They
But
had
they're
fun doing it while they were
oh
young.
yeah, the Love Island games, there's one dude that's been on literally 3 shows in a row. So he was on the UK Love Island at the beginning of the year. That didn't work out, so he went on the US Love Island like almost right afterwards.
Oh, wow.
That didn't work out, so now he's on the Love Island games. I'm like, dude, you
Oh my gosh. That's
like
kind of how Bachelor in Paradise is. Like they'll get some repeats on there too. Just
yeah,
so trying to find their partner.
yeah. There's some though. I mean, there's a handful of people that have made it through and really found their person and gotten married and had kids and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not a total wash. Like it does work, but it's funny. But I can't help it. I love that show. I don't know why. I know why. Well, part of it
Guilty
anyways.
pleasure.
Yeah, the host or the voiceover guy. Like he's never on camera for the show, but he's a British comedian named Ian Sterling, and so his voiceover work is hilarious as the show goes on. He's just, you know, making fun of people and poking fun at everything and just having a good old time, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I should check it out because I definitely love watching terrible things like that.
yeah, yeah. And like I said, it doesn't have any real world drama, right? So it's not like
Yeah, it's like an
most
easy watch.
yeah, and I mean it definitely it some seasons definitely have their drama. But it's more tolerable than some other shows, for sure. I want to say my wife watches Selling Sunset, and I'm like, I
Oh,
can't do that. Like, I can't stand those people.
man, I do watch Selling Sunset. It's terrible, but
Yeah,
I just can't. It's like an accident. Like you can't look away.
yeah,
But I'm just like, God, these people are just terrible.
yeah,
Terrible. I feel like horrible and dirty watching that.
yeah, yeah. Like Love Island's funny because sometimes they get some incredibly dumb people on there, and it's funny. Like there's a dude on the Love Island games, and the thing about the Love Island games is they're all people that have been on already, so they're all people that have been on the show before. But this one dude is from Love Island, Australia, and I mean he's hilarious, but he is dumb as paint. Like he was talking about how the sun and the moon are the same thing, and somebody was like, "No, dude." And he's like, those are two different things. Like they're not the same thing. And like just the whole conversation, you're just like, wow, wow. Like you're lucky you're a beautiful dude because life,
There's
yeah,
nothing in between the
yeah,
ears.
yeah. It's funny though.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
Selling Sunset is just, oh my gosh. Have you watched it?
I've seen enough of it to like get the gist of it, but there's like a whole cutthroat business side to it, right? I mean, they're all trying to sell houses. They get, you know, sometimes they're screwing somebody else out of selling a house, and
Yeah.
oof, and
So
there's
much
so much money on the line too.
Sickening money.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I don't get it. How do these people do this? How do they make that much money?
but that's what made me bring up Sydney Sweeney the other day, is she
What?
has a new rom-com coming out.
Oh,
And
I don't think I saw realize that.
yeah, those make me laugh because there's like a rom-com like formula, and there's like 3 different versions of it. You know, you've got the kind of the people that just come together and then they have their thing. You have the people that hate each other and have to pretend to be together, and then they fall, you know, whatever. Because that was like the Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock one, right? It was the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what this one is. It's like they're somehow on a vacation together, and their exes are there, and their families are there, and they're trying to survive the thing. So they have to pretend like they're a couple, and then of course, you know, they're gonna fall in love or whatever.
Right.
Um, I
It'll be
think,
interesting to see her in the lead.
yeah, yeah. I need to see her in more things where she's not like depressed,
Yeah.
like because she's in Euphoria, she's crazy and angry and depressed. She's in what's the other one? Oh, she was in White Lotus, and she was like a shitty like teenager in the first season of White
Oh, that's
Lotus.
right. I forgot she was in White Lotus.
And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what she does with the Madam Web movie. It'll be interesting to see what she does in this rom com, because I saw her in another one not too long ago, and like it was just another movie where she was, basically she was sexy, and that was her gig. Like there was a dude living across an apartment across the street from her, and she was like watching him with binoculars, and he was having sex all the time, and then she went over there, and like it was a really weird movie, but it was really just an opportunity for her to be that kind of same character again.
Yeah.
And but I mean, to her credit, she has, at her age, like she's not very old, she's played a lot of roles. Like she's successful and making money. So, I mean, who am I to say that she's not great at what she does?
No, I mean, I don't, I know people get on her, but I don't have any complaints about her. I mean, I'll give her a chance.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how she does.
Yeah. I wouldn't ever not watch something because she was in it. So, that's something.
Exactly.
Although I don't know if I'll see Madam Web in the theater or not.
I don't think when you sent that preview or whatever it was, I forgot to watch it, so I don't even know what that's about.
It's a weird one because it's the thing, a whole thing Sony's doing right now, where it's in the Spider-Man universe, but Spider-Man's not in it. It's all
Oh,
the characters that Spider-Man usually interacts with, but without Spider-Man, because they've kind of given those rights over to Marvel, to the MCU. And it's weird. Like nothing they have made has really worked. And this one's got a reasonable cast, but I don't know if I'm interested in it or not. So we'll see how that goes.
I forgot she was in Handmaid's Tale.
Sydney Sweeney, she was one of the handmaids, right?
Yeah, she was. I think yes, I told. Okay, now I remember her. I was like just looking back
Yeah.
at what she did. That's
Yeah.
right. She
Yeah.
was with the security guard when, after, I can't remember the names, everything, because it's been a while since I watched it, but that's right. She was like, they tried to pair her up with the security guard that the main character was,
Oh yeah.
secretly in love with.
I that show I actually had to stop watching.
I love that show.
It was good, but man, it just got so dark.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
Yeah, I mean it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Oh, actually, this one I started watching this and I didn't finish. There's one called Reality, and it's a true story. She plays Reality Winner, and she was actually good in that. Um, a little awkward or whatever. Um, it's based on a true story, and it's shot kind of in documentary format, but she's playing this person, and the girl, she was in the FBI, or an intelligence of some kind, and she leaked information to the government about Russian interference in the 2016 elections.
Mm.
And so she got busted, and it's all about like them kind of coming to her house and starting the interview process, and going through it. But she was good in that. That one was interesting. I didn't remember her being in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I know, that's what I was thinking too, but I haven't. It's been a while since I've seen that.
She had to have been one of the girls that with Annie McDowell's daughter, that went and met up with
Yeah.
Charlie Manson, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh shit, she was a little kid on Heroes. Wow, that's a long time ago. That's 14 years ago. Jesus Christ.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, she's been around. Trying to see like when she, when you would say I mean, I would think Euphoria.
Right. When did she like probably Euphoria is when she really got more known.
She was in an episode of Pretty Little Liars. Did you ever watch that show?
I didn't. I was gonna try to watch it after I watched like Gossip Girl, because that's like one that they say like, oh, then you watch that, but I never did.
Yeah, it's a fun like drama show. Let's see, The Handmaid's Tale was in 2018. I would say that must be her big break, like really. I thought I saw Sharp Objects. Which one is this?
And I remember seeing the picture of that, but I don't think I ever watched that.
That one's intense. That one's a little crazy. I bet she was the daughter. Because it has, she's the crazy shitty one. But it's Amy Adams, like, and she's great in it. That one was a good kind of creepy, weird one. She must have been. There was like two crazy kids. I think one of them was Sophia Lillis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Cindy loves her.
She's pretty great. She's
everything
talented.
She's in, she just loves her.
Yeah, she's talented. But yeah, that and Handmaid's Tale were 2018, and then she started in Euphoria in 2019. So that's
there's gonna be another season of Euphoria, isn't there?
Yes, but they're
so
like behind on filming, from the strike and everything. Like there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that starts filming in January.
I thought there was supposed to be another Handmaid's Tale too.
I don't know.
I swore when I looked it up there was going to be, but everything's so screwed up now that who knows what's going on.
Well, I think the Handmaid's Tale is done well enough that if they're not done, this says season 6 will be in 2024, so this should be one more season. The one strike show that went straight into production that made me laugh was Stranger Things. David Harbour said like as soon as they signed the paperwork, within 3 hours of like signing the thing, he got a phone call saying let's get going and start filming.
Yeah.
So I think Stranger Things is already filming.
Well, that's good because everybody's desperately awaiting that.
Season 2 of The Last of Us starts filming January 7th. So it'll be it's gonna be wild. Like stuff's gonna go nuts for a little while to try and catch up and get as close to like fully caught up as they can be. Yeah, because they've been so behind.
Dude, it's gonna be kind of rough because we're gonna have forgotten all this stuff and we're gonna have to rewatch everything.
I know that's where the streamers are gonna get, they're gonna try and push all their stuff, but now they'll have to pay. That was the thing about the big thing about the actors strike was that they weren't getting paid for streaming stuff. So it used to be that before streaming, if you were on a show and you stopped, the show ended or whatever, and it went into syndication, you would get paid every time it aired. So every time somebody aired it and there was advertising and stuff on it, you would get some little chunk of money, and people would live off those residual checks for a great show for a long time. And then when streaming started, all the companies are like, well, we don't know how to show you how many people were watching the show, which is total bullshit. They don't know
there's
how
no
many people.
way. I mean,
And so
I thought that they would. Like, I thought it would be no different. Like every time somebody watches it.
No, they were super shady. So if you watch or if you look it up, there were a bunch of actors and stuff, especially when the strike was starting, actors and writers that would show their residual checks that were for a month would be like less than the cost of the stamp that was used to send the
I think I
check.
saw one though.
Yeah, and they're like, this is bullshit because they used to get hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for residual checks. You can't really like picture the cast of Friends not making a ton of money off of Friends, right? Like it should make them a ton of money because it plays everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And as soon as the stuff goes to streaming, they were getting totally shafted.
Wow.
And so that was one of the biggest things in the actor strike, in the writer strike too, but to get those residuals back from the streaming services.
Mhm. So now miraculously they'll be able to figure out that data.
Yeah, of course, or fudge it. Yeah, the other big one for the actors and the writers was the use of AI, because like Disney got in trouble because they were trying to tell like background actors to take AI scans of their face or take digital scans of their faces so that they can then use them forever and never have to pay them again.
Oh.
And so the actor strike
Terrible.
was like, no, they're like, if you scan an actor and use their likeness in the background, you have to pay them every single time you do it like they were there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a big one.
Damn.
But yeah, super crazy. They're like, I was like, that's shady as hell. Be like,
Very.
yeah, people want to get into the business or whatever. They want their moment of fame or whatever. And so you take advantage of them being there and be like, we're going to put you in so many movies, and then, they're not going to get paid for any of them. Even, I mean, you're a background actor, it doesn't really matter, but
We need you, but we don't really need you.
yeah. Yeah. And so writers were getting kind of the same thing. All of a sudden, AI was starting to write scripts and stuff, and people were getting all touchy about that. And I think in the writer's strike, basically no script can be written by AI. Like I don't even think AI is allowed to touch a script at this point, which is a pretty big deal because number one, if you read anything that AI has written, it's pretty shitty. Like there's a whole bunch of problems with it. But number two, like people obviously want to work.
Yeah. I have lots of feelings about AI.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see some cool things about it, but I just don't think on the whole it's gonna be, it's gonna, hurt a lot of people. But
yeah,
I understand people are like, we got to progress, but I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna be one of those things that it's gonna fuck some shit up, and then down the road we're gonna be like, whoops, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, we're gonna be living in the Terminator, like Skynet's gonna take over, we're all screwed. But like I get like some people, especially in business and marketing, they'll be working on something and they'll get stuck and they'll be like, this is what I'm trying to do. And they'll use like Chat GPT or something like that to help them, either write up a pitch or clean up a pitch or something like that. And I kind of get that. Like I kind of get it in the business and technology world and things like that.
Yeah.
But it definitely does not belong in art.
Agree.
I wish I'd read the book. Have you read the book? I heard
the book's really good. I heard this book in particular was really good.
Yeah, because I think I don't remember if we talked about it in the chat or if Andrew and I talked about it on the show, but I'm always fascinated by writers because I don't think, at least in the original Hunger Games, I never thought Suzanne Collins was a great writer. Like her books, they are not prose. They're not going to win like Pulitzers or anything like that, right? Like they're not amazing, but she told a really good story.
Yeah.
And that's what made it was an easy read, right? Because and that kind of helped. You got into the story and you fell in love with these characters, and it just worked really well. And then she blew up. Whereas I look at somebody like J.K. Rowling, who her first book is not great, like writing wise. Like it's good, she's solid, but when you look at where she was by the time she wrote the seventh book, it's like leaps and bounds different. Like she's a really like amazing writer by the time she's done. Turns out she's a terrible person, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, she's a really good writer. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Like if you have a good story and you have good characters that people like, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a different concept for sure.
Yeah. And I think technically writing YA helps too.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually think Harry Potter sort of predates the YA idea. Like there wasn't. I feel like when it first came out, YA wasn't it wasn't a category, and then these books all blew up, and then all of a sudden, it was a target audience. Because that I remember I think I was working at Black Angus by the time one of the last books was coming out. And I remember even Barnes and Noble, like there were people it's the only time I've ever seen it. People were there at like midnight for the book to come out.
Damn.
And I was like, it's a book. It's not a movie. It's not, and I mean, I love books. I love to read, but I've never seen that level of like madness over a book before. And it was wild. Now that'll never happen again, because people will just be like, yeah, I'll wait. It's the same problem we have with streaming, right? Is if you have Kindle Unlimited, you just wait and just read it for free, or read it for your monthly subscription. Which, to be fair, that's how I read my books.
Yeah.
I read them on the Kindle app on my iPad in bed. I read 3 pages and fall asleep, so it takes me an eternity to read a book. But and then I just found out that you can subscribe to what's called Comixology through the Kindle app for like $4 more a month or something like that, and have like this insanely huge library of comics. So I've been reading kind of the story that the Loki TV series was based on. So that's been kind of neat.
Everything's like a subscription now.
Yeah. And everything's digital. Like everything. We found out today how shitty that is, because our internet went out at like, I think our internet went down at like 10. And we're like, cool, it'll be down for a little bit. And then I got a text. And it's like, your internet will be back by 4:55 p.m. And I was like, fuck, that's forever. And then I realized, like you can't,
everything you do.
you can't watch anything. Everything is streamed. I have a cable box, but my cable actually comes through the internet. So if the internet's down, my cable doesn't work. So I can't watch TV. I can't stream anything. Most of the movies that I own, I purchased on iTunes. They're not downloaded to my Apple TV, so I stream them when I watch those. I was like, I don't. Guess we're gonna play board games. Yeah, and played Catan. My middle son was like, "Can we go play catch?" Which like I haven't done in like months.
Well, that's good. I mean, the world works in mysterious ways sometimes, so maybe you needed to do that.